Hello again and welcome back to our course on PSE 15. In this section we're going to continue looking at editing in quick mode, and I want to concentrate on one of the tools, the quick selection tool. If you've used that and the other tools in the quick mode toolbox before in a relatively recent version of PSE, then you probably don't need to work through this section. We've used a couple of the tools in the toolbox already. So we have the zoom tool at the top there, we have the hand tool, we have the quick selection tool that I'm going to look at in this section, we have the red eye removal tool that we're going to look at in the next section, and then we have the whiten teeth tool, the straighten tool, the horizontal type tool, the spot healing brush tool, the crop tool and the move tool, all of which we'll be considering later on when we look at expert editing. But for this section, let's go back to the quick selection tool. As I mentioned a couple of sections ago, so far in quick mode editing we've been working on a whole image at once, but increasingly you'll find it becomes necessary to be able to just work on part of an image. Therefore you need to know how to select part of an image. In fact, later on in the course we're going to spend a few sections on the various selection tools that are available in expert mode. In quick mode we use the quick selection tool and one or two variants on the quick selection tool, and that's what I'm going to demonstrate to you in this section. The first thing to note about the quick selection tool when you select it and when you have the tool options open is that the quick selection tool itself is selected here. You can see the two other associated tools. One of them is the selection brush tool and the other one is the refine selection brush tool. I'm going to be looking at these later on in the course. For the moment we're just going to stick with the quick selection tool. To the right of this part of tool options are the various options that we can associate with this specific tool. Note that as I change the tool, the options change as well. Most of those options I'm really not going to worry about at the moment, but I am going to change the brush size. Now at the moment the size of the brush is 13 pixels. You'll see what I mean by that in a moment. I'm going to increase that to 30 pixels. Notice the little indicator on the left showing the thickness of the brush, and if I hover over the image you'll actually see a little brush head that size on the image. Now it looks a lot smaller on the image than it looks in the tool options, so let's go for something quite a bit bigger. I'm going to go for 100 pixels. Now when I hover over the image you can see a much bigger brush. What I'm going to do is to select one of these flowers, and the quick selection tool works by looking for edges around the area where I've clicked. So if I say click here and then just drag with the mouse held down, it uses its intelligence to identify boundaries and tries to make out a bound area for me, and it's done a pretty good job there. When I release the mouse, what you probably didn't notice is that in this part of tool options, whereas the first option had been selected, that's to start a new selection, now the option that's selected is add to selection. So let me try and get another petal. In fact I've got quite a bit of the flower there, but that's fine because at this stage I just want to show you the general principles. Now you may be wondering what I mean by a selection. Well, you will see along the border of some of those petals that there is a moving line of dots, black and white alternating dots. This is generally referred to as the marching ants. But as you can see, the marching ants there have got part of the flower inside their boundary, and the selection is the area inside the marching ants. Having made that selection, what I'm now going to do is to change the colour, just to show how to do this. So I'm going up to the Enhance menu and I'm going to say Adjust Colour, Adjust Hue Saturation. That brings up a little dialog. Note my selection is still there. And I'm going to adjust the saturation. I'm going to pull the saturation over to the right. And having done that, I'm going to click on OK. And although that's a pretty horrible effect, as you can see, the adjustment I've made only affects the part of the image that I've selected. Now if I finish working on that selection, I will deselect it either using the menu option on the select menu of deselect or the keyboard shortcut Control D. My change to part of the image is complete, and of course I could save that version of the image with that change made in the normal way. Note that the quick selection tool is still selected. If I wanted to do something else to this image using a different tool, I'd change my tool and carry on. That's the end of this section. I'll see you in the next one.